let's talk about Logan. Obviously, we had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
He mentioned he wants to fight Dillon Danis. We don't know if that's MMA or boxing. I imagine it's boxing.
Yeah.
Dillon got a bit. I mean, naturally, Dillon does what. He tweeted something, which is pretty much all he's done in the last 3 fucking years. And he also said that he wanted to fight me, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
You've been boxing, though.
Bro, I'm just a podcaster, albeit a podcaster who would beat the shit out of Dillon Danis. I am not actually a fighter, though. Like, in my head, I'm like, bro, like, you've got a fine amount of time that people are going to give a shit what he's got to say.
Right.
And when he's pinpointing his little tweet at me, I'm like, bro, you're wasting your 5 minutes here. Like, fixate that on Logan and manage your career in a way that's less of an imbecile than what you've been behaving. Like, this guy is all of the credit he once had for being the up and coming student at Straight Blast Gym and the jiu-jitsu wizard and, you know, a real one to watch. That's just died a death. And watching him get choked out by a fucking chocolatier part-time bouncer, I'm like, bro, you're now coming after podcasters. You got big problems with your. I'm doing good in my career. You're not doing much. Like, come on.
Yeah. As far as the fight between him and Logan goes, you know, I really don't know what to say about it.
Have you watched Dillon hit pads or anything like that?
I've seen. I mean, we've obviously all seen Dillon in his 2 fights at Bellator. I've seen him on the bag. I've seen him doing, you know, little bits and pieces he'll put out on Instagram. I definitely.
I see very poor hands out of this kid. Like, he's not. Do you know how some people, like Ben Askren, for example, they're great grapplers, not punchers. He's so funny. There's just nothing behind him.
I said this in my video. I ended up not putting it in, but I was like, you know, he looks like a younger Ben Askren a little bit. But yeah, no,
he really does move. Like, when I watch him punch, I'm like, there's just like, there's nothing there. There's just no snap. There's no power. Like, he's in trouble in his career generally because the minute he struggles to get someone to the ground, even when he's on the ground, as we see him with the chocolatier, but like, you know, this, no wonder he's sort of tweeting from the comfort of his own home because he knows, like, the minute he goes out there and gets exposed for lacking in a massive quality that you need in fighting, all of this Dillon Danis being a thing is over immediately. Yeah.
I think if Logan does go through with that fight, and they've been talking about it for years, and Dillon, you know, talks like he wants that fight. I mean, obviously I favor Logan. Logan's been doing this. Logan's a really, really high level athlete outside of boxing, in my opinion. I think he could have done a lot of different things. So when he got into boxing, supernatural ability. I think he is just a guy that picks up the sport really quickly. And Dillon just, I don't know honestly, you know what I think what's going on with Dillon is I don't think that knee surgery has been fully rehabbed to the point where he is confident in doing anything yet. People forget, and this is not like let's feel sorry for Dillon, but he had a full knee like reconstruction, LCL, ACL, completely blown out in 2020, right? And I feel like it has taken him a lot longer to get back than he realized.
He looks a bit bloated when you see him. He looks like a puffy, overweight, like welterweight now. He doesn't look in shape, and that's obviously down to you're injured. You can't do the cardio.
He's talked about how he eats like trash too. He's not ever like, he's talked about it in videos. He's not a like super healthy dieter either, but I think that's a big reason that he's not saying it, but I think that knee rehab has not gone as well as he wants. And it's an ACL at the end of the day, you know?
He hasn't fought in 3 fucking years, mate.
I know.
I can't, like, he doesn't realize how lucky he is that people like Logan even mention his name. Like, you fought a couple of bums 3 years ago. You used to spar Conor McGregor. And this is the thing, like, I know I made a joke earlier on that, but like, I don't give a fuck about this guy. Like, I don't hate him. I don't dislike. Like, I'm just like, I laughed when I seen him say that. Like, it's nothing, right? But in my head, I'm like, bro, you've got your window is closing, and 3 years without a fight. Like, I don't give a fuck what injury, what surgery you've had. This should be sorted by now. You've got. Like, your body is probably giving up on you if you're still unable to get in a competitive ring or cage at this point. Like, what are you doing? And he's becoming that guy who talks about fighting but never actually achieves anything. He's in danger of not being a has-been. He's in danger of being a never was, because like even Jake Shields replies to his tweet underneath after he's tweeted about me going, I guess you won't sign the contract to fight him either, will you? Because Jake Shields is supposed to have a fight. I'm like, bro, you're talking about me. You've got pro fighters who want to have a thing with you. This is never going to happen, bro. I'm like, you know, what the fuck's wrong with your brain?
Say what you will. Dillon is very good at using his social media presence, whatever that may be, whatever it is. It's not obviously as big as some people's is, but he's good at using it to keep himself, like you said, relevant. Now,
he's very fortunate that Conor McGregor graced him with his presence, with his life, because otherwise, like, he'd be nobody at all.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Like,
and you can tell him and McGregor have not hung out for fucking the longest time, and yet he's still posting pictures of him and Conor as if they were like hanging out last week. And Conor's like, I'm not liking that. I don't even fucking know you anymore, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's hanging on to that, like the guy who like used to be in the band. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's it's awkward, man.
And drummer that never was.
I look at him and honestly, like when he's sort of dissing me, I'm like, bro, you're pathetic. Like you actually have a career that's going up in smoke in front of your very eyes. And I know you're not making good money. I know you're not achieving anything. You're Logan Paul would be the best thing that he could ever fucking hope to happen.
Yeah, of course.
Win or lose. Like, it's the same as Tommy. You ain't getting a couple of million again. Like, grab this. Buy, sell a house, bro, because the next 2 million ain't going to be there for a while, especially after Logan embarrasses him, which I believe would happen in a ring.
Yeah, let's actually talk about if they did want to, you know, actually get into a fight and Dillon showed up. Logan, like I said, skill wise, the better boxer, no doubt about it. The only thing, and this is just because of when Logan feels threatened, I want to see that evolution of when Logan feels threatened, how does he fight, right?
KSI, there was the power threat. With Floyd, there was the skill threat and the cardio threat. And he was in a negative state of mind in both of those fights, I think, by comparison to where if he fights Dillon, he needs to be the predator, not the prey. He needs to look at Dillon like dinner and go and fucking get on him straight away and start smashing that jab in his face and actually use the gifts that we see him, because he ain't Logan, as good as he is. Like, and this is why I sort of suggested the winner of McBroom versus Gibb. I'm not saying McBroom or Gibb will beat Logan, but Logan has picked fights that were obviously not the best for him. He hasn't won one. So the part of the Jake thing that is he's made statements and he's grown as a fighter, and I think Logan has grown, but he needs to get in there with someone who he knows he should beat, and he needs to be the alpha mentally. Yeah.
We haven't seen, like, if we're talking mentality, we haven't seen Logan in the same mentality. Like, he'll feint it. He'll say, you know, how confident he is. And in the Floyd fight, I think he found a little bit of that toward the end. He was like, hey, I'm still here. Like, you couldn't get rid of me. But we haven't really seen that confidence level since KSI won in the first couple of rounds in that fight. And you were right there in person to see it, right? And
good shout, bro. Yeah, I remember that, because this was the thing, is I was sort of thinking, okay, KSI's the one with the experience. He looked good against Joe Weller. And those first two rounds, Logan, when he was popping that jab and JJ's head was going back, I was like, fucking hell, this kid is good. And then, but the mentality and the gas tank, ultimately, it failed him. And it was JJ who had the more aggressive nature. And that's obviously what carried him through both of those fights. But He needs to get that. He needs to go in there and go, I'm going to rip this fucking guy's head off. And the thing about Dillon, or whoever he chooses, is he needs to get in there soon, because Logan seems to take long periods between boxing, and he clearly, as people have commented on in the podcast, loves the good life. You know,
dude, I don't know what he has going on, but he looked like he was on hard drugs. I was like, oh man, this guy is doing it different out in London.
Nah,
and fair play. Everybody wants to have a good time. I'm not, do what you want to do. But I was like, oh, he's living it up.
No, and I mean, like, I genuinely think that is just Logan on like a boozy night, to be honest. But like, I look at Logan and I'm like, if I had your talent and I had your money, I'd have a gym built on the side of my house. I'd have the fucking 100%. Black belts turning up, teaching me 100%. Kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. Because he has all of the skills to be an MMA fighter or to do whatever a boxer or do whatever he wants. Like, I think he may be the most naturally talented of all of these guys.
Yep. But I said this too. I saw it on someone put a little tweet up. They were like, who's got the most potential for boxing? And I was like, it's easily Logan.
And that's kind of what I was thinking about the McBroom Gabe fight, is if one of them looks really good in the next fight and proves that they're a legit test. I know Logan feels like he's above sort of that YouTube standard now from fighting Mayweather, but if you haven't won a fight, you're not above anything. You've got to get a win.
Fair.
Yeah, I feel like you've got to get some wins under your belt, just like Jake did. And especially if McBroom wins, there's a fight where, why not? You know what I mean? Unless KSI takes it.